Hi, Jay, Mr. Cognitive Drift, or should I call you Blackhawk 457?
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, you can call me whatever. Jay is just fine. I was a Black Hawk crew chief in the Army, so that's where that came from.
Oh,
Originally, when I started my social media, I didn't ever anticipate having 100,000 followers. So it was
yeah.
more for fun, more for free speech, and then it just morphed into something bigger.
Yeah, you're huge in X world. More than 101,000 subscribers following you.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's yeah, again, it wasn't something that I anticipated growing that large. It was just originally because of the free speech,
mm,
especially on Facebook. Conservatives were suppressed on there. And so when Elon bought X, it was let the floodgates open. You
yeah,
could say
yeah,
what you really meant, and you could right or wrong, you could really say what you wanted to say. And you get to people's true authentic self more quickly there. Whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, whatever the case may be,
uh,
you can really say what you want to say. And so that was refreshing.
yeah. I had such a great time last week on your show, Jay.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you. I do shows regularly with Angela Belcamino. If you're not familiar with her, she's the bold lib. Madeline and I go on there as conservative voices, along with Kevin Smith, also who also runs a podcast too. So that's an
You mean
interesting
Kevin
show.
Smith, the famous Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith from The Loud Majority. It's
Oh,
a
okay,
podcast.
okay. So you
So,
have two shows then? I didn't know that
well,
you had
so
another
that's not
radio
my
show.
show, but I'm a regular
Oh,
panelist in
okay,
her
okay,
show.
got it. I
Yep.
understand. Okay.
Yep. She typically runs Tuesday and Thursday nights, and I'm generally there on Tuesdays.
So when did you start becoming a social influencer? When did you start your X account or Facebook? You started being active on X first, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I started my X account, I believe, in 2022 or 2023, something like that.
Wow.
Um, right around when Elon was buying it. That's
That's
specifically
2023, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So that's specifically why I went
Okay.
to Twitter and now X was to support Elon and this free speech point. So that's basically ground zero because I deleted all my other social. I
Mhm,
deleted my Facebook. I deleted my Instagram. I have nothing else
mhm,
other than my TikTok now. TikTok, YouTube, and Rumble also,
mhm.
but that came from me building my X.
I got
And
it.
so originally it was just like I said for the free speech part, but then during the Trump campaign 2024 is when it really grew because I became active. I was a Trump Force 47 captain. I became politically active. I was doing what they call spaces on there to promote conservative candidates in America or whatever. And my account just really grew. When President Trump was shot on July 13th, my account grew 20,000 followers in 2 days.
Wow. That just
So,
that day alone.
yeah, so that it just really took off, and you can do real things on there. I tagged my congressman in posts, and he's co-sponsored bills from there. Just you can do really real things. You can shed light on some serious subjects, and you can have a good time while you're doing it too. Post memes or whatever. I'm not serious all the time on there. I try not to be, and I actually try to post positive content. However, there's a lot of negativity in the news. I also try and get the news stuff out there.
Can you tell our audience about your background, how you joined the military and where you were born, which schools you went to, and
Sure,
stuff like that?
certainly, yeah. Originally, when I joined the military, so I joined straight out of high school. I'm from Trained
Minnesota.
straight out of high school, and
The
I joined.
Minnesota, the most controversial state right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's your background.
That's my background. So Minnesota is it's actually a pretty conservative state overall. If you get outside St. Paul, Minneapolis, go out into the rest of the state, it's actually pretty conservative. It's
I
a
heard.
very big hunting and fishing outdoors state. That's very popular there. It's land of 10,000 lakes is really real. There's lakes everywhere there. Now that I live in Georgia, I realize how many lakes there were there. There's just lakes everywhere. But
Yeah, because
um,
LA Lakers is also called LA Lakers because Lakers used to be in Minneapolis, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, a couple of teams have moved from there. The Dallas Stars actually came from
Oh, I didn't
Minnesota
know that.
too.
Oh, okay.
They used to be the Minnesota North Stars when I was a kid.
Oh, okay, got it.
But yeah, so originally when I joined, I actually joined the US Coast Guard. And I just joined because, like a lot of kids, I just didn't know what direction I wanted to go. So I was going to do military service for a few years and then figure things out. And so I did 4 years there. And I was in the Coast Guard when 9/11 kicked off.
Mhm.
And after that, I was like, I can get out or I can join the army and get in the fight. And so that's when I joined the army because I wanted to, like, I wanted to support my country. We were at war, and that's when I joined the army, and I did 16 years in the army.
16 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And you were a lifelong conservative?
Yeah, I've always been conservative. Just it's the way I've always been. I don't nobody really impressed that on me. It's just the way I've been since I
Mhm.
was younger. I went to Catholic high school, and I don't know, I just always been conservative. Nobody really influenced me to do that. I'm probably the most conservative person in my family, to be honest with you, but my mom and my dad are also conservative too.
Oh, okay. So, have you been watching the news lately? Obviously, you do.
Yeah,
So, what did you think about Trump's Davos speech?
yeah. So the interesting part about Davos this year is obviously Trump's speech, Elon,
Yeah.
a few others that I really, really am glad that they're speaking out about. When Javier Milei spoke out today too. But basically, what they're saying is what a lot of us are feeling. The woke globalist agenda is coming to an end, and these leaders, these world leaders that have huge influence, they've had enough,
Yeah.
and we've had enough too. A lot of people, populism is growing in popularity, thank God, because the way things are going is not working out for everybody else.
No.
The way that Davos tries to direct things is not working for the average person. And so they're able to do things off of our backs, off of the money that we contribute, and it does none of it benefits us. And so that's a good thing. I'm glad that they're being overt in what they're saying and not tiptoeing around it as they would in the past. They would go to these things, pretend to be friends with all these people or whatever, and really that's not how everybody feels. And
Mhm.
so for that, I'm really glad that they're being overt and saying that this is going to come to an end, because a lot of people have had it. And I know that a lot of South Koreans feel the same way. We're sick of it. And you see a lot of this in the UK with Keir Starmer and allowing mass migration, and it just doesn't seem to benefit anybody. So why are we doing this stuff?
Mhm.
Why are we going to ruin Britain for this idea that doesn't help anybody? It doesn't
Mhm.
even make it better for the people they bring in there. It makes it more hostile for everybody. So it's a failed model, and I'm glad that these influential people like President Trump and Elon and a few others are speaking out about it in this place, because you wouldn't get that normally.
Yeah, with Carl Schwab, this globalist agenda, always preaching climate change. Sometimes I wonder they wanted to destroy humanity. I think that's their goal. They're very satanic. WF, it just creeps me out. That's
Yeah,
how we felt as conservatives when you hear him
yeah.
speak. Even what's his name, Carl Schwab. When he speaks,
Klaus Schwab. Yep.
yeah, he sounds like a monster, and the things that he preaches doesn't make sense. And it's all, and I agree with President Trump when he said that this climate change agenda is actually probably concocted by China because China benefits the most. They make these windmills, solar panels. They're number one, by the way, CCP,
Right.
and they're selling it. And we were probably one of their biggest consumers, I think, America and also European nations, and even
Right.
South Korea. South Korea is so gung ho on solar panel these days, alternative energy. And they didn't learn the lesson. South Koreans didn't learn the lesson. So when I look at my home country, it's so tragic that they're pushing this alternative energy, green energy, all this garbage, climate change nonsense. But I think if it wasn't for President Trump, I don't think WEF, or the Davos Forum, would have changed their course. I think they would have kept going and pushed their agenda. But Daddy came back. Daddy came
Right.
back and he did some whooping ass yesterday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was a woman that spoke there. I don't know what her name is, but I grabbed a clip from her speech or whatever earlier, and I posted on my X account. She's literally talking about putting like vaccines in the water systems to compel compliance to more people, like crazy stuff. This is like Batman. This is like Gotham City. These people are nuts that they would go to these lengths or whatever to force their agenda on people, and they're still out there. But the thing is, people like President Trump, people like Elon Musk are not gonna
They're not gonna
Then
have it. No.
they're oh, hell no.
We are just sick and tired of it. And we know that we're on the majority. We know that the 2020 election was rigged. They even rigged 2016, but in spite of all that, Trump won. And we're
Right.
still investigating the Crossfire Hurricane issue, which I know that you're very much interested in it too. Me too. I think if we don't solve that, I don't think there's any justice in the political world. And
Yeah, if you look at just what happened in the past week and with the church in Minneapolis, the activists stormed in the church and they
yeah,
persecuted the people that were in there. That's a crime.
it is.
That's a crime in America.
It
And
is.
so you cannot do that to somebody. And the thing is, like, they arrested some of the few low-level people. They didn't arrest Don Lemon, who also went in there and did the same
He should
thing.
be arrested. He should be
He should be
charged.
arrested. Yeah, it's
But they have this
and
kind of biased judge who let him go.
so that's a huge deal because they were willing to arrest President Trump, right? They
Yes.
were willing, they had no issue arresting President
They
Trump. They were
actually did arrest him, right? In
Yeah,
Georgia.
they arrested George
They
Papadopoulos. They
had to take
arrested
a
a
bunk shot.
bunch a
Yeah.
bunch of the people around
Mhm.
President Trump. And so if we can't go after Don Lemon, if that's like, no, that's too far, then we're in big trouble. If we're not able to hold a celebrity accountable, then we're definitely not going to be able to hold some of the, like a governor of Minnesota,
Mhm.
like these people that are encouraging the riots and stuff like that. We're never going to be able to hold Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton accountable, because if Don Lemon is untouchable, then they're really untouchable because they're
Yeah,
in the
you're right.
billionaire status. That's troubling to a lot of people, and it's troubling to me because he should be in the same amount of trouble as the other people that got arrested today.
Yeah, I think we also touched upon it last week when on your show that it feels like they have some kind of special protection. How come it's so difficult for on our side to arrest even a single person on their side when they are the ones who did all these heinous acts, criminal activities? It's just amazing. And it almost makes you feel like giving up on seeing them whether they get charged or arrested. Like even when they charged James Comey, I didn't have that much hope because he was going to be tried in DC, right? So DC, we all already know that the jury pool will be like 100% Democrat, and they would
Right,
love anybody who attacks President Trump. For them, that's justice, which
right.
makes it very frustrating. I think sometimes I'm wondering whether we should change our capital from DC to Texas or Oklahoma to at least level the playing field.
So originally, when in 2024, so President Trump had talked about this in quite a bit on the campaign trail, and so he's talked about decentralizing DC. Right?
Yeah,
Why do
yeah,
we need to
that's
have
important.
all these agencies headquartered in DC? Because
Mhm.
that allows lobbying,
Yep.
like really grimy stuff to
Yep.
happen.
Yep.
What does it matter if they're in North Dakota? It really doesn't. They
It
can still
doesn't.
do the same job,
Yep.
and so they don't need to be all centralized in DC. They have done some of that. However, they haven't done the big ones like FBI. They said that they were going to shutter the FBI headquarters and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
What's
And
going on
kind
with that? Didn't Cash Patel say that he was gonna close down the building? I think there was a
of
recent
did.
report last month. He did.
He did say that, and they didn't do that. So that's the thing, is if they would follow through on some of these things, you could really break it up and start to solve the problem, because it's tough when it's all tight and it's all work. These people have been there a lot longer than the Trump administration,
Yeah, of
right? They
course.
you have
Yeah.
these career people that are unelected and they've been working in these agencies, and they just have to wait out the administration. And the
That's the
thing,
mentality. I heard that's the
yeah, yeah,
mentality. They
that's
just want to wait it
absolutely,
out.
yeah. So they're right. Those are like President Trump's team, like his cabinet pick and stuff like that. They're temporary, right? These people
They're just
are
gonna be there
career.
3, 4 years. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And so these people are career in this place. They've been there 30, 40 years. And so they don't want change. They wanted to keep it going the way it's been. And so I think you need to disrupt that a little bit. I think you need to shake things up. I think you need to do like Elon did to X. I think you need to like completely shake
That's
things up and
you're
figure
right.
out what is needed, what is working well and what isn't, and move it out of DC. And we're still not there yet.
Yeah, I think it's very disheartening to see that. And I think that's one of the reason why Elon Musk left too. I think
Yeah.
he was doing the right thing. He was getting rid of all this ridiculous bureaucratic stuff, and he exposed a lot of corruption too. And what I heard was a lot of NGOs were not happy that Elon Musk was exposing all this stuff. And it's funny, when he's exposing all these, and we should be cheering him on, a lot of the Democrats and the bureaucrats and the DC swamp, they were criticizing him, and they were destroying Tesla cars, and it's just, I think
They
we're
called
living
him a
in this
Nazi.
upside down world.
They called him a Nazi.
Yeah,
Like, he's just because he's trying to stamp out corruption and reduce waste in the government. He's a Nazi. Like, that's completely ridiculous. For one, it doesn't do any. It does a complete disservice to Holocaust survivors and stuff like that. But two, it's absolutely ridiculous that they would call him that. He's trying to make the government work more efficiently. Who wouldn't want that?
it
Who
seems like they
wouldn't
don't
want
want it. It seems like they don't want efficiency. That means they can't do corrupt stuff and they can't get freebies.
it? Yeah, yeah, the NGOs, it's one of the biggest scams in the world. They're just it seems unstoppable, and you could just they don't have to produce anything. They get millions of dollars, and it you can't seem to shut it off. We see that in our latest
Mhm.
budget, continuing resolution. They're still funding all this.
Right, right.
It's
It's
just like,
just, it's very disheartening. And I bet Elon Musk was super pissed.
oh yeah, he was living in the White House. He
Yeah.
was literally like they gave him
Mhm.
an office in the
Uh-huh.
White House, and he was living in that
Uh-huh.
office. Imagine being 100 billionaire and you put your life on hold and you go in with this team
Yeah.
and you're at great risk, right? There he had like security risks. People would have killed him for these things, right? And the things that they were exposing. And so he does this. He goes all in, he's puts in a ton of work, and these Doge kids were doing a
I know.
fantastic
Yeah.
job. And you
Uh-huh.
had these independents working also, like Data Republican, who was doing independent work, exposing all this corruption and stuff like that. And she even had to move because of security threats. And
There was a boy, right? I think he was an Asian boy, like from Harvard, and he was being attacked too. I think there was some bunch of, no, not
right,
Asian. There was another guy. I forgot his name, but he was beaten up.
yeah, big balls,
Yeah,
right?
big balls. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he got attacked in DC. It's just
I mean,
crazy.
we should give him an award. Why would he?
Yeah, no,
Why is he being attacked? It's
yeah,
just very disheartening to see those.
yeah. What they're doing is exposing the criminal element, right? They're exposing crimes that are happening, right? This is a complete misallocation of resources, a complete misallocation of funding, and it's really criminal in nature. And when you're exposing crimes, criminals get mad, and
But
that's
but it's funny, aren't we the ones supposed to be mad and they're supposed to be scared? But it
yeah,
seems like it's opposite. They're the ones who is claiming, "Hey, you're not even supposed to expose these corruption. This is how it's
right,
supposed to be, and we love the status quo, and you guys are disrupting our lifestyle." And I
yeah.
think that in itself shows how much DC is wrong. That is why we call it Swamp City. And I heard that these NGOs, they're all relatives or family members of current Congress members or senators.
There is some of that too, but there's other things like the Soros has a lot of NGOs,
Yeah.
and they whatever he's mastered it. Like Elon said, he's cracked the code on a lot of that stuff. He's got that down better than anybody. And the thing is, like, when they put these things in the budget, they just continue them. It's in the when you don't balance the budget, when you don't actually drill down on what all these things we're spending money on, and you just continue it or whatever, it just keeps getting funded. They don't actually even have to produce a result. They don't even, and I think, like Elon said, most of our congressmen actually know that they're not doing good things. They are not actually producing good results. We're just funding them because that's the way we do it here. So
I guess they just want to have their job security too as well, because if they also start attacking these NGOs, probably they would know they will be attacked by these NGOs. And like you said, George Soros, it seems like he has this ultimate immunity. Somehow
right.
he's not being charged. We've been talking about George Soros for like decades. I
Yeah.
think
I'm To be honest with you, I'm not even sure he's still around. He
he's
hasn't
gone. He's mentally gone. He's over 90. I heard him talking during a hearing, and he doesn't seem, I think he is suffering from amnesia or something.
yeah, I think he's got to be like 93
Yeah,
or
I think
90.
it's Alex Soros now, right?
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen George Soros publicly in a very long time, so I'm not sure
Hmm.
that he if he is still alive, I'm not sure that he can walk or anything. But
But Alex Soros, he met with Gavin Newsom during the Davos
yeah,
forum too.
right, yeah, and they're cronies or whatever. And the big thing is Gavin Newsom got the snub there. That's interesting.
He couldn't go inside the USA room or something, right? They
Yeah,
didn't
and
allow him.
Yeah, and he's not getting the reception that he was hoping for, and I'm glad for that because he sucks.
He's
But
horrendous. I live
that
there.
yeah,
I live here in California, so I know
right.
how bad he is.
The that was funny. They brought up the light rail or whatever. How many billions wasted on that, and not a single passenger yet?
The bullet train, even that project, not even an inch. They didn't make anything there. It's all
Yeah,
gone. I don't know
billions.
where that money all went to.
Yeah, it's gone forever. Yeah, there should be some
And
accountability
then they
for
wanted
that.
to audit him here and there, but he vetoes all those bills, audit any
Right.
kind of audit.
Yep. And the homeless population or whatever, they poured billions into that, and it's grown in California. Like
I
it's
think
gotten
Mhm.
worse.
I think that was a point to grow it.
Yeah,
That was a point. So you can
yeah,
continue this problem and keep on getting
right.
the federal
Yep.
funding. But I know President Trump is not going to give him anymore.
Yeah. Hopefully he does cut them off, and hopefully California is such a beautiful state. And if you could get some decent politicians in there, this is one of the things that I said should Nicole Shanahan should run for governor of
I
California.
love her. Yeah, I love her.
She could win because she's a centrist and she's very popular, and I think she could actually win. I did more than any other candidate. Now, granted, I would like to have a hardcore conservative in there, a MAGA person or whatever, but you're not going to get that in California. You
No.
have a lot of liberals out in California. You have Berkeley, you have San Francisco, like you have all these different places where you're just not going to get that hardcore
I
conservative,
mean,
which is
statewide, we have not won a single seat for ever since Arnold Schwarzenegger left.
so if you can bring somebody who's centrist in there, who has common sense, that could appeal to both sides a little bit, is a little softer approach or whatever, like Nicole Shanahan, I think he
Mhm.
could really change a lot of things for the better in California.
Yeah, I think so too. I think California is in such a mess. I don't know where to even start. And I think it's it's almost with everything. Like Gavin Newsom is the worst governor in America, but yet the Democrats and the mainstream media is propping him up to be the Democratic presidential nominee for 2028, which is like we're living in this upside down world where the worse you do your job, you're getting propped up by the deep state. And I think that's the reason why he went to Davos. Like he's showing to the world, hey, I'm the anti-Trump.
Yeah.
So wait until I run in the 2028 presidential cycle.
Yeah,
And
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who they're going to run. I know that he is probably going to toss his hat in the ring, but I don't think he is who they want right now because of the way he was received at Davos. He is not getting this huge reception. So I don't think that they've got their mind made up on him. And I don't think he's going to be the ultimate candidate. The concerning part is it really doesn't matter who the Democrat candidate is. The Democrats will vote lockstep for whoever that person
that's
is, no
true.
matter how
Yep. Yep.
dumb they are, no
Yep.
matter how extreme they are, they will vote lockstep for that person. So, what you can count on is you're going to have about 70 million votes for whoever that person is. If it's
Hmm.
AOC, if it's Gavin Newsom, if it's Gretchen Whitmer, it really doesn't matter. They're going to vote lockstep for that
I think
person
so. Yeah.
100%.
And it's going to come down to the independents, I think. And what I am concerned about is I think President Trump, isn't he losing ground a little bit among the independents? I know that he's having this high approval rating among the Republicans, but what I worry about is he's losing a little bit of ground among the
Right,
independents, if you see the polls. And I think we had some reality check last year with the elections. It's not
right,
midterm election, but it was a 1 year election, so it does mean something. With
right.
on in Virginia, New Jersey, and also Miami, New York. Those are all typically leaning Democrat area, but we did lose a seat on in Virginia, the gubernatorial seat, and the House seats. And I worry about that. What say you?
Yes, definitely. So the thing is, I think most Republican, like most people that are like in the upper echelons of the GOP and Republican Party, I think they were anticipating a better turnout because of 2024 turnout results, right?
Yes.
Conservatives,
Yes.
even some centrists came out for President Trump. And so I think they were expecting a better turnout for conservatives in those races,
Yeah.
and they didn't. And
It was horrendous. I think the election
the
was
reason
horrendous.
the reason why is President Trump wasn't on the ticket. President Trump brought a lot of people in, And so they need to account for that. They need to get out there better. They need to support their candidates better and not push these swampy people, because they don't excite people. They don't, like, when you push these people that have been there forever, that don't get anything done or whatever, that doesn't inspire anybody to come out and vote. That they don't get excited about that, and they're not going to show up. And so when you keep doing that, if you keep pushing these people that are very uninspiring, and people aren't really, they're not very grassroots. The only reason they're in power is because they're getting tons of money from their lobbyists who are filling their campaign funds and pushing them to the finish line. And then conservatives aren't showing up during the primaries. So you have this rhino on the ticket and nobody's excited about voting for this rhino. So that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, President Trump is not going to be on the ticket this year. And even in 2018, when he was a president, he wasn't there on the ticket. So we lost the House
Right.
then. And right now it's, I think, is it 5 differentiation votes between Republicans and Democrats? I think we have 218 barely, and then they have 213 or something, the Democrats.
I
And
forget what the total is right now, because
the one
we had
left, Marjorie left, right?
Marjorie Taylor Greene left, and there was a congressman in California that passed away.
Yeah. So we lost 2, right?
Yeah, so very thin majority, and we don't have a ton of strong conservatives in the House to begin with. The strong conservatives are very few and far between, and when you have that, if we get a win, I feel fortunate, because I don't even view us as having a majority there. We're lucky if we get
You're
anything
right.
at this point.
Actually, you're right. Actually, if we think about it, Trump had a bigger margin in 2016, 2017 when he first came in. I think Republicans had 33 more seats than the Democrats. Even though Trump didn't win the popular, I actually think he did win the popular vote in 2016 too, if it wasn't
Right.
for the voter fraud and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to touch upon the Nicole Sheridan running in California. Back to that a little bit. What I worry the most in California is voter fraud. We still use Smartmatic here in LA County, so I worry about that. So I'm wondering whether she doesn't even have a chance, even centrist, and even
So she's said publicly that she doesn't intend to run, but I think we need her to. I think they really need it, like RFK or somebody needs to
Mhm.
convince her to run, because she is our best hope.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the only person I see pulling it out in California.
Mhm. On the House side, what do you think about Thomas Massey? Your opinion?
So the things I like a lot of what Massey says in terms of the fraud, the wasteful spending and stuff like that. The problem that I have with Massey and Rand Paul is they don't build a coalition of support, right? They just basically drop a grenade in the room and they walk away. That does us no good. If you're gonna be a no vote on everything or whatever, everything that President Trump does or whatever, you have to recognize that we need to take some wins when we can, and to be this always, I don't know, it just, they need to be more of a team player in some
That's what I
respects.
think.
Put yeah, call it out when as you see it, and be a no sometimes, but also sometimes you got to help us get a
Right.
win or whatever, and they don't seem to do that.
Do you think it's just because of the Epstein file, or Massey wanting to be a contrarian? Massey was like that, but Massey was aligning himself with also Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the most pro-Trump person out there. But now they have this huge falling out. If it wasn't for the Epstein files, do you think we would not see this kind of MAGA civil war or division?
That's part of it, but the thing is, a lot of these people, the thing was, is like in 2024 we all had this thing that we were trying to overcome. We had this, I guess, a mutual enemy, right? So everybody's working towards overcoming this, I guess, communism, like communist style Democrats, right? And so when we're all working together, like we have this common goal or whatever, we're always pushing towards the finish line. And after President Trump won, we kind of lost that common enemy, right? And so these issues or whatever. The thing about the Epstein files is the only reason we're talking about the Epstein files is because President Trump was willing to look into it.
Yeah.
And if you're going to bitch about this to President Trump, he was the only president that was willing to look into it. We wouldn't even be talking about this
Yeah,
if
that's
Kamala Harris
true.
won.
That's true.
There's absolutely no way she would release any information about any of this stuff. They would have buried it. They don't care. Same with Joe Biden. A lot of the stuff happened back when I guess George Bush and Barack
I
Obama
think
was.
that's what I think George W. Bush probably that era. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of this stuff happened way back
yeah,
then, and so you had all these presidents in between that could have done something also. They had no intention of doing that. President Trump is the only reason, and he brought it up in his campaigns. He said he was going to release the Epstein
right,
files. The thing is, like, prior to him being in office, they don't know exactly what's there. So when you're talking about releasing the Epstein file, you don't really know exactly what's left over and stuff like that. And so when they get in there, I think they overpromised on what they were going to deliver. And they have given us a bunch of it, but not very much new stuff. But I don't think there really wasn't
you're
much
right
left
to
there.
begin with. I think you're right.
And I think they've hidden a lot. Some evidence has been destroyed through the years, and I just I think they overpromised a little bit, and that's why people are frustrated. I'm frustrated. I wish they would. I don't want any of these people. If you went to Epstein Island and you were doing these things to kids or whatever, I want you in prison for life. I don't care what political party you're in. I don't care what side of the fence you are. You need to be in prison for your life, and I have zero sympathy for them if that does happen to them. So hopefully it does for most of them, but a lot of them are probably going to get off.
Do you think President Trump was also trying to protect his donors or because they might be implicated? We don't know the full list. And also at the same time, do you think President Trump also, because Jeffrey Epstein, it's known that he probably worked for the CIA and also possibly Mossad, and Israel being one of the biggest allies in America officially, that he was trying to protect, yeah, donor plus also an ally nation.
Yeah, in terms of the list and why it's not coming out, I think it has to do more with the billionaires that are going would be exposed. I think that's the bigger reason why they were very concerned because these people are very powerful and
Yeah, that's what
they
I think.
it's that's a lot of they have a lot of influence. They're
Mhm.
in very high up
Right,
positions and
right.
stuff. I don't know again, I don't know what all information is left out there
Uh-huh.
too. It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that I want the Epstein list to I don't even care if the list is released. I would just like to see justice for some of these
Mhm.
people. To be honest with you, I don't really need to know all the details. If
Mhm.
you just put some of these people in prison that you know that were doing these things to kids, that would satisfy me.
Yeah. I think there's already so many information that has leaked out and a lot of reports about it. And I do think I do think the reason why they don't want to release it fully is just what you just explained. I think they're too powerful. If Epstein was just a third-rate gangster, I think it would have been revealed all over the place. But he's not. He's very connected with powerful people. He was almost best buddies with Bill Clinton. So that says
Right.
in itself, we all know that Bill Clinton has strong connections too ever since his Arkansas days. So it's not as easy as it seems. And somehow this became, I think this Epstein file issue really became big because of alternative media. And Dan Bongino talked about it. Alex Jones talked about it. A lot of talking heads talked about it. I talked about it a lot too. I bet you did too. And I think the result was probably not what we expected. But I just worry about Republicans and MAGA people or people who are against deep state that they become just a one issue voter. There are people who would live and die on Epstein, for instance, or they would live and die on Israel issue, and they're not seeing the bigger picture of it. And
Right.
I see Candace Owens being that way personally. I do think she's telling a lot of truth regarding the Charlie Kirk death, and but I don't like that. Even Dave Smith, I object to that. So there has been a lot of progressive people who voted for Trump too. Dave Smith and Jimmy Dore. I think Jimmy Dore also voted for Trump. And what I have issues with them is that they're just the single issue voters, the single issue influencers. And they keep on propping this up. And I think it's cutting into the MAGA movement.
Yeah, yeah, it's harmful. Even I'm not a Nick Fuentes follower or anything like that, but even he was saying that this is very harmful for the country and with all this infighting because it's going to hurt us in the midterms, it's going to hurt us in 2028. And so what's going to happen is they are going to open the border back up. If we
Yeah.
lose in 2028, they are going to
Mhm.
open the border back up. They're going to reverse everything that President Trump has done. If we buy Greenland or whatever, they're going to give it back to Denmark. They're going to rejoin the World Health
You're right.
Organization. They're going
Yeah.
to rejoin all these different things or whatever. They're
The
going to
Paris
release
Accord.
They're going to release Nicolas Maduro. They're going to do all these different things. And we need to keep that
You're
in
right.
perspective. We need to keep that in perspective, because if you really want the Epstein list, I'm there with you. I really want these
Mhm.
people to be served justice or whatever. But if you think that's going to happen under a Democrat president, if you think that we're going to get any justice under a Democrat president, you are out of your mind. And you got to keep that into perspective, because if we lose big, we are going to lose big.
Yeah. So why, how come they don't talk about it? Like Candace, I watched her show a couple days ago and she said she's so thoroughly disappointed about President Trump, embarrassed ever even endorsing him and stuff like that. And I don't understand it. He sealed the border, right? And
Yep.
he caught Maduro and he did
Yep.
so many great things, so many great things. And I don't understand how she never mentioned any single achievement President Trump did.
Right.
If you watch her show, it's all negative. And about Israel stuff and all that, Iran. And to me, I'm starting to wonder, is she acting like an opposite, like a psyop almost?
Right.
If you keep on doing it, then ultimately you want a Democrat president going in because there's not going to be an independent politician who's going to win the majority of the both sides of the chamber. S- So, do you think she has an agenda? Do you think Candace Owens, people like them, wants to cut into MAGA and bring this whole movement down and bring back, like you said, bring back Maduro, roll back Paris Accord, go back, join all these global deep state stuff? I just don't understand. What is their end game, in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't know either. I think money has a lot to do with it, to be honest with you,
Okay.
because she's getting a rise. She's getting a lot of
Yeah.
attention on
Yeah.
herself, and that brings in money, which is unfortunate because she has a huge following and we could use their votes. And so, back to the keeping things in perspective, I really wish she would. I really wish, I don't think she's a patriot, to be honest with you. I don't think she's a
Right.
patriot. I don't
Right.
think like she's irrational about these issues and not keeping things in perspective,
Uh-huh.
and she doesn't care if it hurts the country because she's got hers. She's rich, she lives in a mansion or whatever. She's good. She doesn't have to, even if we get a
She's set for
Democrat,
life. Let's be
she's set
honest.
for
She's set
life.
for life.
Yeah, we're the ones that are going to be
Uh-huh.
feeling the brunt of all
Uh-huh.
that. I really wish that some of these people would learn to keep that in perspective and recognize how important these two elections
Mhm.
are coming
Mhm.
up. Even like 2024 was very important, but these are also very important
I think
elections.
2026 is almost as important as 2024.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're right. And because what's going to happen is basically it's going to grind to a halt. It's going to grind to a halt. They're going to impeach President Trump, and we're going to get nothing done for the next few years. They're not going to balance the
Mhm.
budget. They're not going to do anything. They're going to try and undermine President Trump. They're going to try and go back on everything that he's done so far. They're going to draw out court cases, bring him like lawfare and everything. Like they're just going to do it, and so that's bad for everybody. And so hopefully some of them start to recognize that.
I think you are 100% correct. I've been always asking myself internally, what is Candace Owens' ultimate goal? And I didn't see her like a gold digger style. I thought that she was a truth teller, and she didn't even vote for Trump back in 2016. So I know that she started off as as a Democrat. But now I have to wonder because she's becoming a damaging force. Okay, she is telling the truth regarding Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA. I do think that she's telling the truth, and Erica and Turning Point USA people have been telling a lot of lies, and I think that's one of the main reasons why she has gained a lot of traction recently. But she doesn't have a single episode of Trump's accomplishments. She
Right.
never talked about sealing the border, the trade deals, pulling out of these globalist agenda organizations like WHO,
Yeah.
Paris Accord, and it. I think there should come to a point where we have to separate ourselves from her, probably, right?
Yeah. Again, that's the thing is I don't want to shun her or whatever. I would rather bring her into the fold,
That's
right?
what I wanted, actually. Yeah,
Yeah, I would rather bring her into the fold and not make an enemy of her, because we have enough enemies as it is.
that's what I think.
We have all these globalists that are out to get us. We have big pharma that's working against us. They're very mad that we're going to cut into their profits. You have news organizations that are not happy with people. You have Somali daycares that are not happy with us right now because they're getting their funding cut off. A lot of these different things are, and they prop up politicians, right? A lot of people that are very upset with the way things are going right now. And so, in terms of that, like we need to recruit more people to be on the team. We need to have the mindset that we
Right.
had in
I
2024. bringing Elon Musk in, bringing RFK Jr. in, bringing Tulsi Gabbard in. We need to have that mindset that we need to bring as many people on for the win as we can, because this is a fight for our lives. And it's not about one person for me. I don't get, a lot of people get hung up on Trump said this or Trump did that or whatever. I don't get hung up on the individuals. I'm not concerned about that. I want to live in a free country. I want my kids to be able to have some of the things that I had in my life, to be able to buy a house, to be able to buy healthy foods and stuff like that. I want these things for my kids, and I want those things for yours and anybody else's kids that live in America. And for me, it's not about the individual, it's about winning for our country. And that's the way I view it. And so I don't get hung up on he said this or they did that. I don't care what's going on over at Turning Point. I don't care what's going on with Erica Kirk. I care about our country, and we need to recruit as many people to vote for whoever our conservative candidates are in 2026 and 2028 as we can. And that's the way I view it.
I think I agree with you that we have to do politics of addition rather than subtraction. We have to add. And I think that's how Trump won in 2024. And the problem is, I think when people like Dave Smith and Nick Fuentes didn't even vote for Trump, by the way, in 2020 and 2024. So I think he's an anomaly almost. But Candace Owens, for them to bash Trump almost every episode is very disheartening. And it worries me because they have a huge following.
Right.
And I think the one who would persuade people like Candace would have been Charlie Kirk, in my opinion. They were friends, and I think Charlie he had that certain character to connect people. And I think one of the reasons why this MAGA civil war happened was because of we don't have a figure like Charlie Kirk, a uniting force. And I also, you're right. I think we shouldn't shun Candace at this point. I think we need to persuade. Probably she's so hell-bent on the Charlie Kirk issue that she's not seeing anything else. And which I understand personally because he was her friend. But even prior to that, she wasn't even mentioning any of Trump's accomplishments. Yeah, I think money has a lot to do with it. I think she's getting both views, a lot of progressive views, left-wing views, and right-wing people. And she wants to just grow her. Personally, I think she probably chose the right route to prop herself up like this. So
she's making her money hand over fist.
Yeah.
And
I think it's money. I think you're right.
She's just concerned about herself right now, which sucks because we have a country to save.
Yeah, you're right. We do.
And
we're always on the edge.
And what happens in America reverberates to other countries too. Venezuela would still be under a communist dictator right now if it were not for President Trump. And that's one thing, but there are other impacts too. And us bucking against China or whatever, it helps some of these smaller countries too. It gives them leverage and some footing, and they have the opportunity to also sell us some of their stuff or whatever. India and Vietnam and some of these other countries took the opportunity with our dispute with China or whatever, they took the opportunity to try and jump in on selling some of these goods to us. And good for them for doing that. Good for them for seizing that opportunity, working with President Trump, because, that's going to help them. And we need to reduce our reliance on China. I think every country in the world could say this. We all need to reduce our reliance on China.
I agree.
Because a lot of the stuff they sell us is not good products.
No.
They're cheaply made, and China has a lot of nefarious intent, right? They will exploit countries. They do it in Africa. They will exploit them for everything they can and not help them. They don't really care. They're looking out for China and China alone.
You're right.
That's concerning.
And even a lot of companies who actually went to China, like for instance, like a lot of Korean companies like Samsung Electronics and all these companies, they make a copy version out of it. They make copycat products. And then eventually they sell it at a cheaper product and cheaper price, and then they dominate the market and they kick out all the Korean companies. And actually, you're right. A lot of smaller countries, like I think South Korean conservatives do not want to see this MAGA civil war going on. They want America to be united because they want help. What's going on in South Korea because of the voter fraud issue, the left wing completely took over the chamber and the presidency and the judiciary system, that all they have right now, they're pretty much, South Korea is pretty much like a puppet country for China, CCP at this point. And so right now, all their hope is seeing Trump Not the Democrats here in America. They're seeing Trump and the Republican and the MAGA movement as their hope to fix the voter fraud issue. So they're really waiting. I think President Trump actually talked about voter fraud during the Davos forum.
Yeah.
He said that we caught them and there will be prosecutions coming up. So South Koreans are really excited about that, but they don't want to see MAGA civil war because it shows weakness on our side.
Right.
And hopefully
Taiwan also.
Taiwan too. You're right. So
Taiwan is also very
they're in a
they
vulnerable
need
situation.
yep, and they need us to pull it
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
because they're when China was eyeing Taiwan very closely when Joe Biden was in office, and I think that if Kamala Harris would have been elected, they
Loved
no
it.
problem. They would have invaded 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. And
Yeah, Taiwan is difficult. The waters and the weather there are very difficult, and so you have to do it at a certain season when the waters
oh,
are not
okay.
so turbulent and stuff like that,
Uh-huh.
and where you could actually do an invasion. And so they were looking at that, and they were also looking at who we nominated for president, and they were going to make
Oh,
their move.
okay. So,
I 100% believe that if Kamala
mhm.
Harris would have been president, China would have invaded Taiwan.
Is there like an American base there in Taiwan?
I'm not aware of one, but I'm not sure. There may be, but I do know that I think we send ships there occasionally. But the thing about Taiwan is it's the terrain is treacherous, right? It's not an easy invasion. You can't
Mhm.
just do it any time
You're
of the
right.
year or whatever. And the waters are very turbulent there. That's part of the thing is you want to wait for an ideal time to invade. And so they were looking at that, and they were also looking at the presidency.
Yeah. Let's go to talk about your hometown, Minneapolis. Minnesota? Did you hear about this Somali community issue from years
Yep.
back? You
So,
did.
so originally, yeah. So it originally what we, let's take it all the way back. So back in the 70s and early 80s, Minnesota allowed Hmong to they refugees from
Yeah.
Laos, Cambodia,
Hmm.
Thailand, Vietnam, from these places or whatever, because there was a civil war happening over there.
Yeah.
And they did it in Fresno, California, and they did it in Minnesota. So they brought all these people in, and to be honest with you, it wasn't really an issue.
Yeah.
They kept their culture or whatever, but they assimilated.
Mm.
I went to school with a lot of people from Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, or
They
whatever.
assimilated.
It was never an issue because culturally there was no clash.
Mm.
And I don't know what brought it about with the Somalis, but they tried to do the same thing in Minnesota with them. And it never worked from the start. There was a cultural clash from the start. And this is why I say not all cultures are created equal. Not all cultures are meant to mesh together because you can see with the Hmong that they brought in into America or into Minnesota or whatever, it worked. There, I don't think there
Hmm.
was a lot of issues. There were
Hmm.
some
I never
gang
heard
issues.
about it. Yep.
There
Never
were
heard
some
about
gang issues or whatever. But for the most part,
it.
there
Mm.
was not a
Yeah.
huge cultural clash or whatever,
Mm.
and it worked for the most part from my perspective.
Mhm.
It wasn't a huge deal.
Yeah. Vietnamese, I think majority of them are conservatives too.
Right, yeah, they're hardworking.
Mhm.
All of them are. Their parents are very
Yep. Diligent.
diligent into their
Yep.
schoolwork and stuff
Yep.
like that. Some of my best friends from high school were their parents
Mhm.
were from Vietnam and Thailand
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and so I know them very well, and
Mm.
there was never an issue there. But when the Somalis started coming, there was a cultural clash right from the start, and it never worked. And it started, I would say, around the early 90s is when they
Wow.
first started
Okay.
showing up. And
So it's
like I
been.
said, there was always a cultural clash.
Oh.
It got worse under Barack Obama is when they really started bringing more in or whatever.
Mhm.
And who was asking for that? I know Minnesotans weren't asking for that. They were not. I don't know anybody that I grew up with that was saying we need to have more Somalian people here.
That started in Obama year? And
No,
you said 90s, so it's Bill Clinton era, huh?
so before, probably even before Bill Clinton, it started probably in the early 90s,
Oh, okay.
and they started bringing them in, obviously a little bit at a time or whatever. And I don't remember hearing why or
Mm. They just came,
who
huh?
they were just coming or whatever. And
Out of all
Minnesota,
places, it was Minnesota even back then, huh?
yeah, and I think they used the Hmong coming as
As an excuse.
a
Yeah.
as a reason
Yeah. As a
to
reason.
try this
Mhm.
again. And like I said, it was completely different though. It was, and now most of the people that I went to high school with don't live in the city anymore. a lot of the people that I went to, and then this is talking about black, white,
Mhm.
Vietnamese, Thai, all these people that I used to know and grew up with or whatever in the city have largely moved out of the city because the Somalians are all in the city now. And so you're seeing the effect of this up in the
Minneapolis, right?
yeah, Minneapolis with the riots and these ICE raids and stuff like that. They've created this really disaster.
Out of control. It's an out of control city, right? Wouldn't you say, Minneapolis? This
Yeah,
George
yeah,
Floyd
they
incident.
burned it down during the George Floyd
Uh-huh.
riots, and it just really is not the place that I grew up in. It's really a lot. It's changed a lot since I grew up there in the '90s, and I just don't know how they turn this around. I think that having politicians that are encouraging this, like Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and Jacob Frey, like they need to be held accountable because they're encouraging this. They're encouraging these fraudulent scams. They're encouraging them to buck federal agents. They're encouraging their police forces to not work with federal agents. And so that's a problem. You can't have this undermining of our nation.
And you have Ilan Omar. I mean, she oversees Minneapolis, right? That's her district, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Her asset ballooned all the way up to $30 million. How could she be earn that much money? She just went to the Hill like 4 years ago, isn't right?
Yeah.
She's been there less than 10 years, but I don't understand how she can accumulate that much wealth. Like we see Nancy
Lobbyists,
Pelosi, but I think it just doesn't make sense. I just don't understand it.
lobbyists contributing to her campaign funds. Like
Lobbyists,
that's what it has to be. And some of these Somali daycares are probably contributing to their
probably,
campaign funds
probably.
too. So
What do you think is going to happen to them? Do you think they should all be locked up and get kicked out of this nation?
if they're here illegally, yes. If they committed fraud to come here illegally, yes. 100% they should be. But the other piece is like they need to hold the politicians accountable because these politicians are encouraging this. They're encouraging disobedience. What's the difference between Minneapolis and all these other cities? They have ICE in all these other cities,
It's
even
all pretty much the
Chicago,
same. Yeah.
Los Angeles. Why aren't there riots going on in these cities? Because their politicians aren't telling their police force to not work with ICE. There,
Mhm.
there is some of that in some of those other cities, but they're being very disruptive in
Yeah.
Minneapolis right now. And so that you have to stamp that out at the politicians. If they're unwilling to do that, then you have governor and a congresswoman and a mayor of a city that are basically undermining the president of the United
Mhm.
States, and you cannot have that.
And thanks to Nick Shirley's work, Tim Walz is not running anymore for a third
Yeah,
term. So that's a good thing. And we just got to get rid of Ilhan Omar. I think for her to come here and lecture Americans how they should live and always talking about white supremacy. I'm so sick and tired of any politician who talks about white supremacy. For me, they're
right.
automatically out. And I lived in Oklahoma. I went to college there. I never met a single white supremacist there. I never met a KKK member there. They're talking about Looney Tune. They're this fictitious world like it's real. They hope that it's real. And
But the people believe it to their core. Their followers, their acolyte, like they believe everything that they're saying. You're seeing like with the two women that went out there or whatever, and the one woman got shot
I mean,
hitting
the
the ice.
Good, but what's her name? Elizabeth Good, Good,
Renee
right?
Renee Good.
Yeah, Renee Good.
Yeah, but they believe it to their core. They believe what these people are saying. They believe that these people are Nazis and that they believe all this stuff and they're making them crazy. They are out of their
I
freaking
think
minds. Like, what person is going to go out there and hit a federal agent with their car? What are
it's
you, nuts?
ridiculous. It's
That's
ridiculous.
absolutely crazy. Like, you're completely out of your mind. And what are you doing? Like, for people that they don't even know,
Yeah.
people that would never do that for
Mhm.
them. Like, you're seeing all these white people out there. You're not seeing Somalis out there
Mhm.
protesting.
You're right.
Why? They have this savior
It's
complex or whatever. I don't
it
know.
it just doesn't make sense, and I think it's the mainstream media, the legacy media keep on telling, oh, Trump is like this, what do you call this monster? And I think some people like you and I, we watch all sorts of news, right? Alternative media, what's on X, and MSM too. But people like Renee Good, I think they just watch NBC, ABC, CBS, New York
Right.
Times, WAPO, CNN, and all these junk. media. And I do think if you go to the root of the problem, I think it's the mainstream media.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And what's crazy is we allow foreign countries to own pieces of our media, like we allow them to contribute to our media, which they are trying to undermine our country. So they're not only spinning things or whatever, they're directly trying to influence the way our country is run and the way that, and not for the better of the country. And
Mhm.
so that's, to be honest with you, that's very treasonous to me that they're allowed to undermine the country like that. And just with foreign donations, with big pharma donations, it's crazy. They talk about all these things with the COVID vaccines and stuff like that. They've exposed all these different things and how children probably shouldn't be getting them and stuff like that. And you still hear the commercials
Yeah.
when you get
It's
in your car and it's on the radio and you see it on TV and stuff. The commercials are still out there. Why are we allowing this to be done? We're one of the, I forget what it is. There's only a few countries in the world, or maybe we're the only one that allows pharmaceutical companies to advertise for things like
I think
that. You know,
America's probably the only country. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, why would you advertise for something like that? That should be a conversation between you and your doctor. And they're not, it's not like you're
I
buying
mean,
bubble gum. These are life changing things that you're putting into your body. And so you should not be advertising for this stuff.
I think America is taking a lot of junk. If you even look at the foods, the ingredients that goes in there, like even in McDonald's, I heard that it's much healthier in Europe, for instance, that they don't
100%.
have dyes and stuff.
Yeah.
And we have to take all this junk. And sometimes I have to eat McDonald's, even though I don't want to. If I travel somewhere, there's nowhere, nothing else there but just fast food joints.
Right.
So it's like they want, it doesn't make sense. And it feels like they almost live in a different alternative timeline when we already know that the vaccines can be harmful to kids, but we see advertisements. It's like they don't. It's like it's this world that the real news can't penetrate. We're still making this world, so you guys got to live here, or
Yeah.
you guys got to live here and just follow our agenda. I get that impression from them.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the McDonald's piece because I used to live in Germany. I lived in Germany for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And so the McDonald's piece is a good example of, with a lot of things, they make it seem like it's impossible to change it. We can never change it. This is the way it's got to
Mm-hmm.
be, or whatever. You can never make it healthier because it would be astronomical. It would be so expensive that nobody'd ever be able to afford it. Okay, take the McDonald's piece. McDonald's in Germany is completely different than the United States.
What?
If you order a salad or if you order whatever, a chicken sandwich or whatever,
Mhm.
like what you get there is completely different. Their ingredients are different. There's not all these additives and stuff like that. If you order a salad, it's like a salad you would get in a restaurant. If you get a
Wow.
salad here at McDonald's or something, it's gonna be crap. If you
Mhm.
order whatever, just a chicken sandwich or something like that, it's probably got 50 ingredients in that chicken sandwich. Whereas in Germany, it's just chicken.
Wow. So the
That's a
quality
good
and the
example.
taste is different,
Yeah, it tastes a lot different.
much
Yeah,
better there.
yeah, it's not like the McDonald's food isn't quite as flavorful, so it's not as palatable as it is in USA, but it's still good. And
Yeah.
your body likes when you eat stuff like better food.
Your body
Your
knows
body,
it. Your body
yeah,
feels it.
100%.
Like in my case, I'm very sensitive, so if I eat something that's has a lot of contamination, my stomach immediately feels it. So you can feel
Right.
it.
Yeah, yeah. And for me and my two teenagers, I changed our diet to whole foods. And I did that around COVID or whatever. I really just started researching what
Mhm.
I'm putting into us, started getting more health conscious. And
Yeah.
that this was post military, right? So
Mhm.
when I was in the military, I was very fit and working out all the time. So I
Mhm.
didn't really care about
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
eating healthier. Like I ate healthy.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't like
Uh-huh.
the junk food addict or anything like that, but a lot of my bad habits were masked because I was just working out all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So you felt like the exercise itself would
Yeah,
just kill
I
it
was
all
burning
out,
it
right?
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Fine.
getting
Yeah.
better. And so when I slow my pace or whatever, I need to start thinking about these things. And so I did. And I really just started looking into all these different things and I cut out canola oils and
Yeah.
seed oils and all these different things.
Sunflower oils. Yeah, I try
Yeah,
to get rid of all the oils too.
yep.
I try
Yeah, I
to. The
cook
seed
with
oils are really bad, and Robert Kennedy, kudos to Robert Kennedy Jr. to exposing all.
yep, and I cook with olive oil and I cook with tallow and Basically, I make all my meals from scratch. They're a little bit more bland, but the thing is, it's way better for us. And
Yeah, you're right. I got rid of all the oils, even olive oil. I heard that olive oil is, some people say that it's good, some people say it's bad, but I just use water, boiled water,
yeah,
and ever since my digestion improved dramatically, I don't even try to take sugar and gluten too. Gluten is
yeah,
also another thing that's poison that's not good, but you're right. It just I don't know. I think America's system is probably there's something really wrong. President Trump talked about it during the Davos Forum about trying to raise the medicine price in France so that we can lower it down here in the States, something like that. And they were charging American citizens like 10 times more, 15 times more compared to these European nations.
right,
I think that's also unfair too. And we seems like a lot of Americans always end up on the shorter stick. Always, we take all the bad stuff, take all the
right.
bad debt. NATO is not paying their share, so we pay it all out of our own pocket, and they still hate us at the
Yep,
same time. So it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. NATO was originally formed to stop the USSR, right? And Tucker
that's the
Carlson,
reason why NATO was formed.
yeah, and Tucker Carlson even has brought this up or whatever. The USSR no longer exists, so why do we have NATO? But the
You're
the thing
right.
is,
Yeah, I even said that during my show.
yeah, the thing is, we've provided Europe's defense since World War II.
Yep.
Really, us
Since
being over there.
1945, I think America took over the whole thing, paid all the
Yeah,
bill.
the reason why Russia doesn't attack those countries beyond the East Bloc is because America is there and they've taken advantage of that. They spend money elsewhere. They don't spend money on defense like we do, and they don't have to because we're there. And so that bleeds over into the Greenland
Yeah. Yep.
subject
Yep.
is, if we can draw down, like from my perspective, we need to draw down from Europe because Europe needs to deal with these problems that they've created for themselves. They need to stop their mass migration. They need to provide their own national defense. It is not our responsibility to do that. Why are we paying these countries
When you were
to
in Germany, Europe was not like that. What were they importing a lot of importing, but bringing
they
all these migrants even back
yeah.
then in the 90s when you were in Germany?
So I wasn't there in the 90s. I was
Oh,
there.
sorry. Yeah. 2000?
I was in Germany 2012 to late
Yeah.
2013.
How was it then? Was there a lot of foreign migrants coming in?
There weren't in my village, but
There
in
were.
Germany,
So
like
it
they were
already
they were
started.
coming in there. And since I left there, in my village that I lived in like a country village. It was surrounded by orchards and a lake, the
Mhm,
little town that I lived in.
mhm.
Probably less than 100 people in my village. But since I left there, my neighbors have said they imported all the North Africans into the area,
Wow.
and crime has skyrocketed. There's break-ins, there's stabbings, sexual assaults, like all this stuff happening in this quiet little village where virtually nothing happened ever. There
So
was never any crime, nothing. That's a direct impact on those
somebody
decisions.
must be really really secretly is having a happy time by looking at people suffering. To me, it
Yeah,
seems like it's almost by design,
yeah. It doesn't make it any good.
like some kind of sadist, right?
Yeah,
Sadist
yeah,
globalist guy, somehow evil
right.
schemes, and they love seeing people suffering, the middle class suffering. That's
Yeah,
the only
it's
way how I can decipher this whole thing.
yeah, I don't get why you would want that, why you would want to encourage that. It seems counterintuitive to me. Like you would want to be people to be happy, and for me, that when people are happy and not a lot's going on or whatever, that's a good thing, right? They're going to
Mhm.
spend more money, the economy is
Right.
going to be
Yeah.
good, people are like, things are going to be thriving. I don't see why you wouldn't want that.
You know.
So
Do you support America taking over Greenland, or you said you want to roll back? We should roll back from Europe.
so I do, and the reason being is because I would like to draw down from Europe.
Yeah.
I would like to start pulling back our
Mhm.
troops from Europe. I don't think we need to have such a heavy presence in Europe, and having Greenland allows us that launching point to
Okay.
still be able to have the reach that we need. We have a logistics stopping point basically between us and Asia and Europe. So I think,
Because Greenland is like on the spearhead, right? So
yeah,
we
it's
can pull
mid
back all
Atlantic.
the other soldiers if
Yeah,
we
it's
have
mid
soldiers
Atlantic.
present
So
there.
yeah, so you can still reach all these different places in the
Got
same
it.
way that you could from Europe.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it'll benefit Greenland too, because if something were to happen to Greenland, say Russia or China were to do something to Greenland, Denmark is not going to stop them from doing that.
No.
And I believe that since we're looking at them right now, that Russia and China are also looking at them too, and they would love to take Greenland also.
Yeah.
So
Because of the rare earth and some other natural resources there, and right?
yeah, there's oil there too, I believe. And so they would be, the thing is like, I don't know how this looks, how we buy them. I've heard that the sum of money that we're gonna pay them, plus they're gonna pay them $100,000 for each resident, which really isn't a ton of money in the
Oh
grand
yeah,
scheme.
and give citizenships or something. U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, I
100,
think
was it
it's gonna
100? Was it $100,000 per person?
I think it's gonna happen. But what it looks like in the end, I think that the way they will be treated is probably similar to Puerto Rico or Guam, where
Yeah, yeah.
they're a U.S. territory. They have some sovereignty.
Yep,
They have
yep.
their ability to govern
Hmm.
themselves or
Hmm.
whatever. And I think that's ultimately what it ends
That's the
up
best
looking.
case scenario. That's what I
I think
think.
that's the way it's going to look like, and I believe
Yeah.
that it's going to happen. But thing is, if we get a Democrat president, and what does that look like when they get into office? I think they
That
give it
all
back.
goes into ruins. That all goes into ruins. So I think
Yeah,
we have to make sure that Republicans win all the time. The answer politically, I do think that
yeah,
Republicans winning all the time is the answer.
yeah. We at
Humanly
least,
possible answer.
yeah, for at least the next 10, 15 years
We have
to
to. Yeah, we have.
correct some of the stuff that's been done.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
immigration thing is going to take decades to
I think so.
fix.
To fix this problem. We have like how many? Like 35, 40 million illegal immigrants here? We
Yeah,
don't
they
even
don't.
know. We don't even know.
Yeah,
ICE agents don't know. ICE people don't know.
I've heard some estimates that are around like 50, 60
I
million
think that
that
might be probably more correct. That's what I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah, it's huge. And the thing is, like, they come in and a lot of them need assistance immediately, and it's
Like
just,
Somali
it's a bad,
people, I heard that when they come here as refugee, even after 10 years later, they're
yeah,
still not off of these
like 90% of them.
yep, subsidies.
Yeah, 90% of them. And that's a problem. When you come and you just come to leech off this country, that's
That's a
not the way it
huge
should
problem.
happen. You should
Yeah.
contribute. If you come here or whatever and you start a business or something, like that's the way it should happen, right?
Yeah.
You come here, you establish yourself,
Hmm.
you run a successful business, and it contributes to the society.
You're
Like
right.
that's the way it's supposed to happen.
And if I live in Greenland, if somebody gives me $100,000 and a U.S. citizenship, I would love it. So I
Right?
think people, and I did see some documentaries where a lot of them were wearing MAGA hats and they support Trump's ideas. It's
Right.
not just if you read the mainstream media or watch them, it's 90% or almost 100% of them are oppose it, but that's not actually true.
No, it's not. No, they when Donald Trump Jr. went there
Yep,
and
yep,
Charlie Kirk was there,
yep.
I
Dick
think.
Shirley went there too.
Yeah, a few different people, and they were from what I saw, they were very receptive. The thing is, like, they're finding all the leftists, they're finding the
Yeah,
leftists in
right.
Greenland, and
Selective editing.
they're drawing them out
Mhm.
to make it look like it's a
Yeah.
lot more than it is. But I think it's going to happen
Yeah,
regardless.
that's what I think too. Jay, do you like Mike Lindell as Minnesota's new governor? What's your thought on him?
So I do like Mike Lindell, and I hope that he wins. The thing is, they have election problems in Minnesota big time, and so when you're talking about from Somali scams, imagine what it is for the
Voter.
election
I
problems that
think,
they have
yeah.
there. So you can
It would be
just,
probably worse. I
oh
wouldn't,
yeah,
yeah, I
you
think it would
can
be
vouch
worse.
for people. You can vouch for people and vote for them. Like,
That's
how is
crazy. You can
yeah?
vouch 8 people? What was it? I
I
read an
think it's like,
article about it.
yeah, I think it's like over 10 or more or something like that. You can vouch for, like, how is that legal? How do you know
It's just
how these 10
ridiculous.
people are going to vote? You're just going to vote for whoever you want 10 times. That's fraud. That's
So
not that
yeah, it's just ridiculous. So that person
if
can
they
just vote for them if you vouch for them, right? That's,
yeah, exactly. They vote in their place. That's crazy. That is fraud. Like that's completely insane.
I think if you don't have the voter fraud or any kind of those, what do you call it, Somali fraud going around, I think Minnesota can actually be a red state, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Again, it's if you go outside of St. Paul, Minneapolis, it's a lot of conservatives out there. You have a lot of Christians, a lot of farmland or whatever, like hunters, fishermen. It's very conservative outside of St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Yeah,
For the most part, it's a reflection of the rest of the country, right?
it
We
is.
have these cities or whatever, and then out in the rest of the country, it's very conservative. So it's the same as the rest of America. And
Mhm.
so you have this concentration of liberal people or whatever. I don't even say it's probably not even dominant 100%, like very liberal or whatever. If you got the voter fraud issues under control, it's probably not as liberal as you think it
Yep,
is.
I think so.
They just happen to be the loudest.
You're right. You're right.
And if you got these voter fraud issues under control, if you had illegal aliens that aren't voting in these elections or whatever, I think it's a lot more, America's a lot more conservative than you would believe.
So I think we should pass the SAVE Act and act the nuclear option, terminate the filibuster. What's your thought on that?
I absolutely think we should. And it's crazy that we have Republicans that would vote against that. I just don't get it.
Like
Like,
Thomas Massey's voting against it too, right?
yeah, I don't get it. It's,
Like
if,
Rand Paul and all
like,
these. Yeah,
yeah, I don't, it doesn't matter if Massey because it already passed the House.
it did. Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
yeah, so
But the
it's
Senate
at the
side,
Senate.
you need 60, but
Yeah, I forget the number, but we basically need all Republicans to vote for it. It doesn't look like they're going to, and I just don't get it. I don't. You would rather plunge the country into communism than pass
you're
this
right.
common
Uh-huh.
sense thing that everybody should have to, like in Georgia, you have to show an ID to vote.
In
Like you have,
California, you don't. In California, it's illegal. If you show
it's
your ID, it's illegal to show
yeah,
your ID here.
yeah,
You get
it's illegal to
penalized.
ask for. That's completely wacky. That's the vouching for 10 people to
Yep,
vote for them.
same
That's
thing.
completely crazy. Like that, no common sense. Like the only reason you would do that is to commit fraud.
Why is it so difficult, Jay, for all of us to live in a normal society? Why do we have to live in this kind of yo-yo, this kind of it's just
Yeah,
Looney Tune world.
yeah, it is, and that's the radical left. And I don't. The thing is, I think most of America would rather see centrist left, centrist
Yep.
right, because then you could probably get some stuff done. You could have bipartisan come together on a few things. Yeah, obviously they're going to have some fundamental disagreements, but you'll be able to get some stuff done. Whereas
Mhm.
when you have these far right, far left, or whatever, like extremes, then you go from a completely open border to completely
Yeah.
shut border and then potentially completely opening the border again. Like it's fucking
It's
wacky. Like
crazy. Yeah.
it's yeah, it's just crazy. Like you just it's not good. It's not good to have.
But I do like that we have what, zero for 7 months in a row, 8 months in a row coming from the southern border. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yep, President Trump proved like
I
how
am.
yeah, it's I do too.
I love President Trump.
Yeah, he just blew all their talking points. Like they needed like this $1 trillion more to secure the border or whatever, and they never intended to do. They were
You
just
know,
going to soak up all
no,
that money.
no.
It's just it really makes them look
Mhm.
foolish, and they are foolish.
What's your take on Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney? He's trying to align
So
himself with China. So what's your
yeah,
thought?
so that's a bad thing for Canadians, and he made the deal with China for reduced tariffs on canola oil, which they're going to sell to China. But then he's bringing in like 40,000 EVs into Canada, which
40,000.
yeah, which they're not going to be good. They're cheaply made, and with the extreme temperatures in Canada, they're not going to. It's not going to be a good buy for them. But they're
Is it
cheap.
BYD? Is it BYD EV? The
I'm
Baidu?
not sure
Yeah.
which one it is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but
yeah,
I did hear that their products are not that good on the
yeah,
EV
no, they're
side.
not. They're not. And with the extreme temperatures that you have in Canada, you're going to see that very quickly. You like even Tesla would have a hard time there because
Yeah.
the snow and the extreme temperature, like you got to have your heat running
Yeah.
like
Fossil
crazy.
fuel. I love fossil fuel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fossil
But
fuel cars are the safest.
the thing is, in essence, he's bending a knee to China and he's allowing them in more. Whereas the rest of the world is trying to get China
You're right.
out. Like they're trying to have
Mhm.
less dependence on China because it's not proving to be a good thing for
Canada's
anybody.
going the opposite way.
Yeah, they're going the opposite direction. Hey, let's yeah,
That's another
let's
Looney Tune country there they
yeah,
have.
yeah. Mark Carney. The crazy part is like Justin Trudeau was bad, but I think Mark Carney is worse for
I think
Canada.
so. I thought he would be a little bit better, but
No,
apparently he's not.
no, he's not at all. And so yeah, they're gonna Canadians are gonna pay the price for that dealership.
I just don't understand it. And then I understand why Alberta. Is that how you pronounce it? That territory, they want to go conservative. They have a lot of oil
Right.
there. We really wish America can take over that land.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Well,
if they're gonna leave Canada.
that's the joke on a lot of social medias is we'll take Alberta, America will take Alberta, and we'll give you guys Minnesota.
That'll be a great
Yeah,
deal. That'll be
yeah,
out of the
because
deal.
Alberta, like
How
in
about
comparison,
California is too beautiful though. And
yeah,
California still has a lot of conservatives, but still, yeah.
it does. Yeah, they just have
Yeah,
it's illegal to show your ID to vote there.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. But
They would lock you up.
Do you think Carney is acting this way? Even the way he bashed Trump in a world stage at the Davos Forum, I thought that was uncalled for. And do you think Trump hitting Canada with a lot of tariff that kind of prompted him? And Trump did say, "Why don't Canada become America's 51st state?" And I think he was trying to pinpoint how reliant Canada is on America
Yeah,
militarily and also economically. And
right.
but at the same time, they're going left wing, even pro-China and anti-America there a little bit, and anti-conservatives. So that's why I
Yeah.
think Trump, there was a lot of message there inside that, why don't you become the 51st state of America? Do you think that prompted Mark Carney to go so pro-China and buying all these 40,000 EVs?
Yeah, I mean that there's that, but I don't think that Trump was ever serious about us taking Canada. I think
Mhm.
that was more of a jab against the Canadian government that's been hypercritical of President Trump.
Mhm.
And that the green this is I've said this before too on my show and in spaces. The Canada thing I don't believe was a realistic thing that would ever
Mhm.
happen. I don't think the Greenland thing I knew was
Mhm.
realistic and
Mhm.
that could happen. And
But
so
Canada's taking it seriously, right? They're doing like military training and stuff like
but the thing
that.
is listen to how their leaders speak about President Trump. Listen to how they talk about us. They call us Nazis and
It
stuff like
pisses
that.
me off. It
They
really
would call
angers
you
me.
they would Michael, they would call you a Nazi. So that it's just not it's you're when you're dealing with insane people, sometimes he's just jabbing them a little bit. The thing is like this deal with China or whatever, the people are going to suffer. They already have a housing crisis in Canada.
Mhm.
They're already having these financial troubles in Canada because of these extreme leftist things that they got, the carbon tax,
You're right.
all
The
these
the green energy stuff, right?
yeah, all these stupid things that they're trying to force upon the people, and the average people suffer. And this is going to be another one of those things that doesn't benefit the people of
You're right.
Canada. And
You're
China's
right.
going to benefit. China's going to make sure that they benefit in any deal that they are
That
not
that's how
stupid.
they operate. China,
They
that's
are
how
not
China's operate.
stupid.
Yeah.
They're 10 steps ahead of Mark Carney. Mark Carney's a fool, and they're going to make sure that they benefit from this deal hands down. And
Yeah.
that's he got played.
The Keystone Pipeline, is it supposed to come from Alberta or it was supposed to go all the way down? But that also didn't work because of, I think that didn't work because of Obama and Biden, actually. That was more on
Yeah,
our fault. I mean, those
I'm
two.
not sure though. I'm not sure if there's a plan to restart that. I believe that President Trump said he was going to. I'm not sure if that's in the works or
But
not.
I understand why Alberta wants to be independent because 80% of Canada's energy source, like oil, it's from that area, that territory, Alberta. So
Yeah,
they would want to be, but they earn all this much money, but they have to subsidize all the liberal places all over
right.
the place.
Yeah, yeah, and they're paying for all these green energy
Yep,
scams and
yep.
all that stuff when they have this huge resource of energy that they don't need all that stuff. So all you got to do is tap into it.
Yep, you're right. Today, Jack Smith had a hearing at the House
Yep.
committee. Do you have any take on that?
Yeah, Jack Smith was sent in to do one thing, and that was influence the outcome of an election. That's what his entire job mission was to do. And now he's concerned that they're going to come after him for that, which they should. He was sent in to try and influence the outcome of an
He
election,
did.
which is illegal.
Yep.
And they made up charges. They were going to put President Trump in prison, which is crazy that we won't even put Don Lemon in jail when they were going to throw
So
President
angry.
Trump.
Yeah. Just I can't. That sentence in itself shows how wrong America is.
Yeah, no,
Trump almost went to jail, but we can't even put Don Lemon into
can't
jail.
even put Don Lemon in jail. That's the crazy part. Like the other people that were at that thing with the churches or whatever, they're going to jail, but Don Lemon is not. Don Lemon's He's too untouchable. That's crazy. Like you can't have that. You have to have equal justice, and that's not equal justice.
This double standard of justice is what really angers me the most. And I told you during your show last week, I almost gave up on that because I've been waiting and we've been all waiting, right? Ever since 2016, we knew that the Trump-Russia collusion was all fake. The
Yep.
crossfire hurricane was James Comey
Yep.
and Andy McCabe and Peter Strzok, Lisa
Strzok,
Page, all these
Peter Strzok.
people.
Yep.
Yeah, they wanted to even have an insurance policy to make sure that Trump would not win. If we did it to their side, we would all go to jail.
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing is, if Democrats take back over, you're going to see that Democrats are going to waste no time. They're going to throw people in prison, and they will
I
come
worry
after
about that.
conservatives. They will shut down your business. They will attack you in any way that they can. Liberals are relentless, and you even see that like with people that supporting. Did you see the thing with the Enterprise Rent-A-Car?
What happened? No.
So Enterprise rented some cars to ICE, right? Enterprise doesn't know that they're renting cars to ICE. They
Uh-huh.
just are renting
Uh-huh.
cars or whatever. They rented cars to ICE or whatever. Now liberals are going and they're scheduling vehicles through Enterprise, and then they're going in and canceling them to try and hurt their business.
Wow.
And not just one, two, like we're talking about making like hundreds of reservations so that now they can't rent out cars to other
Wow.
people because they got all these reservations in, and then they just go in and cancel them. Like
Wow. So
liberals are ruthless.
this is the same thing what Elon Musk went through when with
Yeah,
them
yeah, burning
burning,
down
all the
Teslas.
Tesla cars and stuff like that,
Yeah,
right? Vandalizing.
yeah,
They are ruthless.
dangerous.
And do you think they're all paid? I felt like they're all paid actors.
A lot of them, a lot of these writers and stuff, they are paid. That's the thing. Renee Good, she was on Ice Watchers or whatever. Like this is something that they're coordinating. This is
Mhm.
something that somebody is paying money into to train these people to do these things or whatever. And so
Mhm.
that becomes their job, is to disrupt.
Yeah.
And so that's another problem too. That's why you need to go after the funders. That's why you need to go after the people that are behind all of this.
Isn't it George Soros? We already know it, right?
He's
But
a large
he's
part of it.
untouchable. Alex Soros seems like he's untouchable. It's
Yeah,
like we talk about them, but nothing, there's no repercussions. We have to always play defense. We worry about Peter Navarro going to jail, Steve Bannon going to jail, Roger Stone got arrested, Owen
right.
Schroyer went to jail. It's all, and Alex Jones, for him to
Yeah.
lose a $1 billion business, what?
Rudy Giuliani, they bankrupted him.
And also Michael Flynn too, right?
Yeah.
It's just so maddening. And
Which journal friend quote tweeted me today too.
oh, did he? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Congrats to you. Man, I really think that Trump should not have fired him. It was Mike Pence who pushed
Oh,
President Trump to
General
fire
Flynn's
him.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
General
he's
Flynn's
great.
awesome. Yeah, he's a patriot. And I was hoping that he would take a larger part in this administration, but he hasn't. But he's got a lot of influence.
Hey, Jay, it's always great talking with you. And I would like to have all of my audience to make sure to follow Jay at Blackhawk457. I'll show it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So that's my handle. I'll
your
explain it to you.
handle.
Yeah, so my handle is Blackhawk CE457. So Blackhawk, right? I used to be a Blackhawk helicopter crew chief. The military symbol for crew chief is CE. So Blackhawk
Oh,
crew
okay.
chief
Got it. All right.
457 was the
Mhm.
tail number of my helicopter.
Oh, okay. So
So
there's a lot of meaning in it.
it's actually got a lot of meaning. For the average person, it doesn't mean anything. They know me as Jay on there, but that's my handle on all my platforms: TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and X. X is my biggest account.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, can you give any last words to my audience? And also, there's a lot of South Koreans watching my show, and they're devastated because of the left-wing party there, and
Yeah,
hoping for the voter fraud issue to be exposed. Yeah, please.
and I got my dog here too. But no, I think the thing is with the US, the UK, South Korea, a lot of these different countries, there are a lot of parallels. They're coming at us in the same ways and using the same methods. And so we can learn a lot from each other. And so that's why I like talking in these international spaces. I'll talk a lot on the UK spaces.
Mhm.
I'll talk with a lot of different people because there are these parallels. And I think we can learn from each other. I think a lot of us are more educated than we've ever been
Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
We understand what is going on. Could you imagine if we didn't have social media? They'd still be doing all these things.
Really.
They'd still be doing all these corrupt things. They would still be rigging elections, but we wouldn't have any knowledge of that. And the reason why we have the knowledge of it is because we get on these platforms, we get on these podcasts and stuff like that, and we talk about it with each other. And so we can learn from each other. And that's our biggest asset right now, because we have a lot of things working against us. We have industries that are working against us, countries that are working against us, politicians that are working against us. And so the best thing that we can do is get on these things and talk to each other, because we have a lot more in common than we realize.
You're right. Thank you very much, Jay. And I would like to give a shout out to at Aesthetics Sales. Great again. The
Yeah,
guy who connected you and me. So thank you very much, Jay, and hope to talk to you soon.
awesome. Anytime. And you can come on my show, and you should join me on Angelo Belcamino's show too.
I'll do that. I'll just if you invite me, I'll jump in.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay,
Appreciate you, Michael.
thank you.